For a different taste. What she experienced was a whole lot of different world, and this is all exposed in her second book, 6 Degrees of Expatriation. I got the chance to talk to this bubbly personality. Here's the interview. First, let's talk about your book that's just newly published here in Singapore. How did that happen?
I moved to Singapore about 3 years ago.
As a writer, as a freelance writer?
At first it was a look-see. I was a freelance writer doing one story here. So I just came here for a quick trip. And I liked the energy of the place. So I came back a few months later and then called it home.
And you moved here from the Philippines?
I moved here from the Philippines. Before that I was in Australia. But
you move around a lot.
Yes, I do. And I've seen quite a bit of the Philippines. I've picked up almost every single place I have as a travel writer in the Philippines. So I figured it was time to chew on something new, and Singapore offered that in terms of food as well. There's a lot of new flavors to taste. There's a lot of new people to meet. So I shifted here not knowing a whole lot of people. I probably knew 3 or 4 people. And then I came here just with my 20-kilo suitcase and started my life here.
And then so you became a travel writer here. But did you always know that you were going to do this book here? Because you had a book before.
Yeah, my first book was Do's and Don'ts in the Philippines.
Okay.
And
was it published in the Philippines?
It was published in Bangkok about 10 years ago.
Oh, 10 years ago.
Yeah, I was 23 when I wrote that first book, and then I wrote this one at 33. No, I didn't think of writing a book, but my life lent itself to a story. Basically, I didn't know anyone here, but my personality is so...
You're very bubbly.
Jolly and bubbly, and I talk to every single stranger. So these are the strangers I met along the way, and it's also about adjusting to life in Singapore. Even if it's 3 hours away from Manila, it's a world of difference. It's totally different from our life. The people here are a little bit more serious, a little bit more structured.
And you can deal with that because you seem to need warmth around you because you're very warm.
Yes, it took a lot of getting used to, even just getting around the MRT or the little quirks of the people, even just, looking for a house was a little bit harsh in the beginning. So there's a lot of adjustment, even if we're neighbors in Asia. It's a world apart. So that's what the book is about.
It seems that all of the adjustments came into this book.
That happens in the first part of the book is about my life moving to Singapore and the honeymoon period.
What a biographical event.
Yes, it's almost like a memoir.
Okay.
And then the second part of the book, it's called Everybody Has a Story to Tell. And the whole premise is I start telling you about how I met these people, and then later on I tell you their story, what their story is, what brought them to Singapore, what that's all about, and what they're going through. So Singapore is the backdrop of the whole book.
Nice.
So you meet 13 different expats.
But do you find that you have things in common with them?
There's a lot in common. Basically, it's a story. Someone asked me, a Filipino asked me, Maida, should I buy your book? Because I don't live in Singapore, I'm not an expat. And the answer is yes, because it's basically a story about humans. It's about finding community, it's about finding home. And, you don't really know what the stranger you see every day has going on. So there are people here in Singapore you would bump into every day in the bus. And that happens in this chapter. Someone would bump into each other every day. And they don't realize what's going on with the other person. And even like a Filipino barista I would see in Starbucks every single day, I didn't know what he had gone through just to make it here. And that's one chapter in the book, and it's called A Father's Love. And what he's a second generation OCW, his parents live in Saudi. And what he has gone through to bring his family here, and the pain he's been through, and what a better life he's giving his family.
Is this the Starbucks connection? Because your book will be sold in Starbucks.
Yes, they started selling it a few weeks ago. So I do most of my best writing in Starbucks, and it was a little bit of a crazy idea.
You donated a lot of
I think so.
money in lattes and mochachinos.
Yeah, so basically, it's payback time. No, basically, I guess it's sort of a home for me. Starbucks Singapore has been a home for me. I do my best writing there. I sit there, and we developed a community. In the Starbucks I used to go to, there was an American pilot, there's a graphic illustrator, there's a health writer, Accenture executive And we go to the same Starbucks every day, and we laugh, and the baristas are nice. And that's very
People
fun.
are not in the book.
They are. There's one chapter. Yeah. I mean, so these are a whole bunch of strangers, and that's where you find community. You find community in strangers, and I think that's the whole essence of the book. It's finding that spark,
Right.
and it's finding home wherever you're at. It's
And
through people.
I remember you said that Filipinos were asking if they could be able to, I guess, see themselves in the book. Should they buy it? I think that you do have a Filipino voice to share as well, so I'm sure that a lot of Filipinos could very well relate.
Yeah, everything from getting homesick to just the thrill of things working out, like just, finding your place, or wow, how cool that the MRT comes on time, or the buses work in such an amazing fashion here.
Right.
That's something you get excited about, or, little luxuries, little wins in your life. I think that's something a lot of Filipinos can relate to. There are a lot of success stories in Singapore, and I think it's about time that we hear about them.
Right.
But I think it's also, I met an Indian student who gave me probably the best compliment I ever got from this book. And she said, she's 23 years old, and she said, Maida, I read your book, and I wish you would come to my school, and I want you to talk about your book, because I wish I had read that book before going to college, because you have such an openness to life, and you have such an openness to other people's stories. And I wish I knew that when I had gone to the States, because I would have had a totally different experience.
You're teaching people like,
I hope so. And probably in my own little way as a food and travel writer, it's their way of looking at life in a different way. It's their way of being open to experience and being open to what others have to give you. Basically, I started out here, as I was telling you, just with a 20-kilo suitcase, nothing else.
and you build a life.
And I was able to build a life here, and I was able to, meet so many people, make real friendships, even just from someone I had met in the bus. So that's what life gives you.
And that's very different because we don't do that.
We don't.
We don't get that experience.
I think so. It took someone quirky like me in a structured that place like Singapore to make it happen. That probably I'm not very typical here. A little bit too friendly, as other people would say. But that brought a different flavor to my life, and I think to the lives I've also.
But also, this book is actually published here, so the Singaporeans get to avail of it because it's available in different bookstores around Singapore.
Plus Starbucks, yeah.
Okay, but is this available to Filipinos?
Yes, National Bookstore sells it in over 100
Why don't you
stores.
sell yourself to our viewers back home? Why don't you say hi to everybody?
Yes.
Hi to your family and
Check
tell
out
them that
6 Degrees of Expatriation. It's uncovering lives of expats in Singapore. But I think in the process, you're going to find your own story. I always say everybody has a story to tell, and I would really like for everyone to discover their own story. And I can't wait to hear other people's stories. So it's more of a celebration, and get the book, and hopefully it would inspire you to embrace your story and to get out of your comfort zone and do a little bit crazy things, and hopefully find your home.
any other books in the works? Not yet.
I am taking a breather